Libby, and today I'm going to be talking about my 2025 book goals. So we're going to start with my goals for the year. I have quite a few goals. The biggest one is to reduce my physical TBR to less than 10 books. We will see. You will be informed of what the starting number is further into the video, but that's going to be a pretty big one. Another one is I want to read all of my FairyLoot books that I got from last year. I didn't have FairyLoot the entire time last year. I had just gotten it last year. I did skip 1 month, but overall I have 8 books from last year and I haven't read any of them. So it's a subscription service that I'm paying for, so I should probably read some of them. So that's a big one that I'm gonna try to tackle this year, as well as I want to read at least half of the ones that I get this year. If I get one every month this year, that will be 6 more additional books. So that's 14 books total just from FairyLoot that I would want to read. And then I think at the end of the year, I'll reevaluate if I want to continue with the subscription service or if I want to end it, maybe. We'll see. It is a very long waiting list that I waited on. I waited about 1.5 years before I even could get the subscription service. So next thing is I want to get a rug for my little book nook downstairs. In our living room, I have my bookshelves that have most of my books on them. I do have another bookshelf in my room where I keep mostly some TBRs, but downstairs is where I keep almost every book that I've read, and there's a couple of TBRs down there. That little area has a really big comfy chair to sit in, and we just got this little shelf to put by the door so it can kind of act as 2 things. It acts, 1, as a place for us to put our shoes, 2, as a place for me to put maybe some more books or other things, as well as a place to put like wallet, sunglasses and stuff on top. With it being right next to the book nook, it kind of helps to close off that little space a little bit, which I kind of really like. So the last thing I really need to finish that space is I want to get a rug for it to kind of fill up that space, make it extra cozy. But rugs are expensive, so that's why it's a goal. Another thing I want to do is a 24-hour readathon. I am not going to do it the way that a lot of people do it, where you literally start a timer for 24 hours and you try to see how much you can read in 24 hours. I don't think that's good for my mental or physical health, so I will not be doing it that way. Instead, I will be doing it over like a long weekend, and I will have the timer set for 24 hours and I will stop and start it. So it's only really counting when I'm reading, not just how long this readathon is going on, which I think is a little bit better, because then it's actually like you did read for 24 hours, it just wasn't within 24 hours. Because I would like to sleep, but it's going to be probably over a long weekend, so like a 3-day weekend or something. We'll see how many books I can get through. I'm probably not going to get through a ton. I'm a really slow reader, so yeah. But I am a really slow reader who reads multiple books at the same time, so depending on how far into the books that I'm currently reading at that time, I might finish a couple. I want to complete this challenge called 25 in 2025. It's hosted on Instagram by a couple people. They've been doing it for the past few years. I did it in 2023, completed it, did well. I didn't do it last year because my TBR, I don't think I had 24 books at that time that I like definitely wanted to read within that year, so I just didn't do it last year. And then this year I was like, oh, I definitely have quite a lot of books that I need to read and get off of the shelf this year. So we're gonna be doing that. Most of them are physical. I have about 21 of them are physical, 3 are ebook, and then 1 is a library book. Not library. And then 1 is an audiobook. Audiobooks are weird for me to try to count. I share an Audible account with my mother-in-law, so it's kind of hard for me to count which ones are mine and which ones are hers. For like my TBR sake, she has a lot on there. I don't count any of hers as part of my TBR because they're not ones that I either bought or I want to read sometimes. If there is something on there that I use to credit forward to get for myself, that adds to my TBR. Or if there was a book that she got with a credit for both of us to read, which is one of the books on 25 in 2025, which is The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. I'm really excited to listen to her memoir. I absolutely love her and we both love Gilmore Girls, so excited to read that. Another one is I want to finish my 50 States challenge. So this is where you read a book for each state. It's set there. I kind of bend the rules a little bit. If it's at least a little bit of the book is set there, it doesn't need to be the entire book, then I will count it for whatever state that is. Every book only will count for one state. Quite a lot of books that I've read go to multiple states. I do not count them for multiple states. I just pick one that they would be representing, which some people are like, barely any of the book takes place there. And I'm like, yes, but I have plenty of other books that I want to read that take place in that state, and I don't have a lot of books that take place in this other state, but it's mentioned in here. I got about over halfway through with it last year. Was not going to finish it last year, so I decided to extend it also into this year, because I got about like 33 states done out of 50, which I think is pretty good. I think what happened last year of me trying to get it done was instead of reading books that I wanted to read that would help with the challenge, I was trying to find books just to tick off a challenge, tick off a state. And I don't like that, because then it gets me into books that I don't really want to read or will enjoy, and I'd rather read books that I will enjoy. Another goal is to read all of my book club book picks. So I'm in a book club with some of my friends, and it is really, really fun. And we've been doing this for this is like our 3rd year now. It started off with just me and 2 of my friends, because me and one of the friends wanted to get our 3rd friend to read ACOTAR, and so we decided to make a book club so that she would read ACOTAR. And then we added in another member right at the end of us finishing ACOTAR, and we started with doing a lot of series to begin with. So we finished ACOTAR, we then went to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Loved that series, so that was 3 more books. And then the next one, we added another book club member, so up to 5 now. And we read the Mistborn series, just the first original trilogy. Some of us have gone on and read other stuff from the Cosmere as well. We read the first original trilogy, and after that, I think we were pretty seriesed out. We had a good year of just reading series back to back to back. So then we started doing a lot of standalones for a while, which were kind of hit and miss sometimes. Some of them were okay. I don't know if I rated any of them 5 stars, which is kind of a bummer, but yeah, happens. And then we got to the end of the year, and we decided to do a new thing with how we picked our books for this upcoming year. Since there's 5 of us, each of us would then pick 2 books for the book club, so that will take up 10 months, and then we have other special prompts for the last 2 months of the year. Each of us came with a book club pick that we wanted to read with the other girlies, something we haven't read before but we would like to read with the rest of the group. And then the second book that we pick is a book that we've read but nobody else has read. So it's kind of like we would lead our own discussion. We think that everybody else should read it, or it's something that we want everybody to read because we want to have a talk about it. So everybody came with those 10 books. We have quite a wide array for those 10 books. And then the last 2 were, one is a birthday month book club pick. Last year, every time somebody had a birthday and it was their month, because all of us are born in 5 different months, they would pick like 3 or 4 books that they want to read, and then the council, which is what the book club's called, would pick which one of those books we were going to read for the next month. And we did that with 4 out of our 5 members because we started it in July, and we have birthdays in July, October, November, December, and March. And so we didn't get to do it for our March girly, so we're gonna have her do it this year, so she gets to be able to do that. Gets us up to 11, and then our 12th book club pick is the new Emily Henry book that is coming out at the end of April. All of us love Emily Henry. We absolutely devour her books. So it made sense for this to be the 12th book club pick. The way we do it, it's randomized for every month, what pick it's going to be. Obviously, the Emily Henry one isn't in the drawing until probably May, because it doesn't come out till the end of April. So I want to make sure that I read all of those. It's kind of a given. I did read all of them last year. I didn't finish one of them, but it was really, really bad. and they said, don't finish it, don't worry about it. And I said, okay, cool. It was only like 250 pages. And I was 100 pages in, and I couldn't finish it. It was the longest book of my life. So I finished all of them. Sometimes I didn't finish them on time, but I still finished them. So proud of myself, want to keep up with that and probably finish them more on time this year. And then another one is kind of a maybe, it's an asterisk. I'm not going to be like really trying to get this goal accomplished, but if it happens, it happens, which is to possibly own 400 books, maybe. That's combined with my husband's books as well. He doesn't have as many as I do, but he does have quite a lot, which helps with my grand total. I think I'm at like 350 something. So it would mean I get 50 books this year. And that might be hard because I'm trying to not spend very much on books this year. I'm trying to reduce my TBR, and sometimes that means unhauling books, which also reduces the number. So that's a maybe. We'll see if that happens. It'd be really cool if it did, because I've been in the like 320 to 350 range for so long, and now I'm finally like set at 350, and we'll see if it ever goes up any further than that. And then some other kind of goals that I have for this year is I have some rereads that I want to accomplish, as well as some series that I want to get done. So some of those rereads are going to be a little hard to reduce that physical TBR, because the first two rereads I want to do are the Percy Jackson series as well as the Heroes of Olympus series. I own all 5 of the Percy Jackson books. I've read them all before, and I want to reread them. So even though that's 5 books added to my total book goal for the year, it is not reducing my TBR because I've read them all before. They are not counting in that stack of unread. So that's kind of a bummer. And then the Heroes of Olympus is another 5 books. I don't own the first 3. I have the 4th and 5th one on ebook, and then the other 3 are owned by Michael's mom, my husband. So I have access to all of them to be able to read them. Again, it's not reducing my physical TBR because I've read all of them. However, there are 2 more books in the Percy Jackson series that he just came out with in the past couple of years, Chalice of the Gods and Wrath of the Triple Goddess, and I haven't read either of those. I wanted to reread the series before I read them. I've only read the series once at 22, and that's crazy to me. And so I wanted to read them again so I kind of have it better in my mind before I go into the newer books. So it will reduce, hopefully, my TBR by 2. I'm reading 12 books for it to be reduced by 2, but yeah. And then a couple others are Book Lovers and Beach Read, both by Emily Henry. I want to reread both of those because I read Funny Story, was my first book of this year, as well as I read Happy Place last year, and I really, really like those. And I feel like those are really fresh in my memory, obviously, because one of them I finished like last week, but Book Lovers was like one of my favorites. I think Funny Story has beat it out now, but I don't remember Book Lovers as well as I think, and so I want to reread it, as well as Beach Read. I listened to it the first time. I think I'm going to actually physically read it this time to see if it better sticks in my mind, because right now it's one of my lower rated books in Emily Henry, but so many people rate it so much higher, so I want to see if I was missing something or if it is actually down there. So I want to reread those, as well as I want to reread House in the Cerulean Sea. I absolutely love that book. I don't remember everything from it. I remember bits and pieces, but I want to reread it. It's a nice, cozy, lovely read, and that way I can read the next book that he just came out with, because I didn't know it was going to be a series. I want to reread that to hopefully get the next in the series and be able to read that as well. So out of all of those, Beach Read and Book Lovers, I own both of them. Reading them will not count towards reducing my TBR. House in the Cerulean Sea, I own. Reading that, however, will not count towards reducing my TBR. And actually, it's going to be worse because I don't have the second one. I will be adding that, which will not reduce the TBR. And then I have 5 series that I want to either start or I'm in the middle of, and I hopefully want to finish or get caught up, because not all of them have all of the books released. The first 2 are Shadow and Bone trilogy, as well as the King of Scars duology, both by Leigh Bardugo in the Six of Crows like universe. It's called like the Grishaverse, I believe. I read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, that duology last year. I really, really liked it, and one of my really good friends loves Leigh Bardugo and loves that whole universe, and so she really wants me to also read the other ones. So I'm gonna start with the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and then I'll read the King of Scars duology. Don't own any of those books. I will buy them if I really enjoy them, possibly, I don't know. However, I probably will use my library app to just rent them out, or I can also get the physical copies from my friend because she owns all of them. Not adding to the physical TBR technically, but not helping to reduce it either. The next one is the Legendborn series. I have read the first one and I have the second one, and the third one is coming out I think pretty soon at the beginning of this year. So I really want to get to the second one and read that so I can then read the third one as it's coming out. This one is going to basically get me a net zero because while I am reading one that I own and haven't read yet, I will probably also be adding another one to have to read. Same thing is happening with Emily Wilde's series. I read the first one, Encyclopedia of Fairies. I own the second one, Map of the Otherlands. I haven't read it yet, so I want to read that. And then the third one is either already out or it's coming out this year. So I don't have that one and I'll want to buy it to complete my little set. And yeah, so that's going to be another net zero one. Another book series I want to finish is the Fourth Wing Empyrean series. I read Fourth Wing towards the very end of last year. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. I know a lot of people feel different ways about it, but I had a fun time. I thought it was fun. And I'm borrowing the second book from my friend because while I did enjoy it and I thought it was fun, I don't know if it's really a series I want to own all of the books for, but I do want to read the second one, see kind of where this is going. The third one does come out later this month, so depending on how long it takes me to get to that second book and read that, I know that my friend will read the third one and probably already has it on pre-order. So I'll have access to be able to read that as well without adding to my physical TBR, but again, not reducing it. With that being said, a lot of my rereads and series are obviously not going to be reducing my TBR too terribly much. However, some of my other challenges I'm hoping will, especially the 25 and 2025, that will actually help reduce it quite a bit. That's why I signed up to do that challenge, because that's gonna get me 21 physical books off of my TBR, as well as a couple other digital ones, as well as my Fairy Loot one is going to really help me to knock down some of those books as well, because I have a lot of those Fairy Loot books. They are so pretty and I haven't read them and I need to read them because I'm spending a good amount of money on them each month. With that being said, let's look at my TBR starting count. So I want to do kind of at the end of each month, I want to do a thing called balancing my shelves. It is something that I saw Beth Morvant do. She's over on TikTok. That's where I originally saw it, but she also has a YouTube channel where she talks more bookish things and stuff like that. And so I really want to do what she does, where at the end of each month, she will do kind of a balancing of, all right, so at the beginning of this month, I started with this on my TBR. I read this book, and so it reduced it by this. I read this book, reduced by this, but then I got these 3 books in the mail, so we're back up at this number, etc. You get it. She has a lot more books on her TBR. She's doing a great job though. She started at like 700 something and she's in the 600s now. She did unhaul like 99 books, so I think that is helping, but she's really fun to watch, so go check her out. So I wanted to do the same kind of thing, obviously not as big of a scale as she's doing it on. It's more for myself to kind of keep myself accountable. I think it's also kind of fun and I like talking about books. So that's what we're gonna do. My starting TBR counts are, I have 2 audiobooks that I own. I say 2 because again, the thing that I talked about with Audible. So it's the third Gilmore Girl is 1. The second one is Renegades, which I do technically own because I did use a credit to buy that. I tried to read some of it last year and I just wasn't in the headspace to read it at the time. I was like not paying attention at all. So I stopped reading it and I'll come back to it. I don't want to say I DNF'd it because I didn't not finish it forever. It's just kind of paused. It's on the shelf. We'll get back to it. Ebooks, some Kindle books I have 12, which I think is a really good amount. A lot of people have like hundreds of Kindle books. I, for some reason, haven't gone that insane just buying ebooks, even though they are super cheap. I try not to do that too very much because I know how much that can add up over time. But I have 12 and only one of those, I believe, is a free Stuff Your Kindle Day book. I deleted a lot of them because I read some of them and I was like, yeah, these are bad. I'm not gonna get to these other ones, but I kept one because it has to do with like Greek mythology and I was like, yeah, that might still be fun. It was pretty short, so we'll see if I get to that. But those books, I'll talk about them in my balancing the shelves at the end of the month because there are some months like I had last year where I didn't read any physical books. I did at least read a book or 2 or 3 or 4, just none of them were physical. And I'm gonna try to not do that this year. I'm going to try to at least read 1 physical book a month because my physical TBR amount is 42 to start the year, which is not that bad. I think that's pretty okay. So getting down to less than 10 means I have to read 33 books this year. My goal for this year is to read 75 books, so pretty doable. Being able to read 33 to get it down to that much is great. However, I do have all of those rereads and series that I want to finish, and so the things are going to be adding to the TBR as much as I'm trying to chip away at it at the same time. I do have my book box subscription service with Fairy Loot, so that means I get at least 1 book a month, which is why I say I want to read at least 1 physical book a month, so then it at least gets a net 0 as we're going forward. I'm at least, you know, not just constantly gaining more and more physical books. And to end off this video, I wanted to kind of show you the books that I'm currently reading, and I did just finish one today. So was currently reading 4 books. I finished one today, so now only 3. One of the books I am reading is Out for Blood. It's a cultural history of Carrie the Musical. I'm a high school theater teacher. We are doing Carrie the Musical in the spring. I got this and Not Since Carrie, another nonfiction book about Carrie, as well as Broadway Flops. Got both of those for Christmas in anticipation, and I wanted to read this one before we really get into it. I'm already a good little bit way in. Nonfiction takes me a while. I wanted to read this before we really got into Carrie because it might help me with some of like the vision and stuff like that and some of the background, whereas the other one is more about like just musical theater history of Broadway Flops. So I don't think that's going to help me as much going into directing Carrie, whereas this one might. Another book that I am reading is a buddy read. I take off the dust jacket covers, so sorry. While I'm reading them, I don't like the feel of the dust jacket covers. Let me know if you feel the same way. But I'm reading Daughter of the Pirate King as a buddy read with one of the other book girlies. One of her goals for this year is to buddy read with each of the council members. So I think that's really fun. She's getting me out of the way super early. I've only gotten a little bit into it right now. I'm hoping to really start getting into it now that I've finished a book. And then I am working on my reread of Percy Jackson. I'm on the 2nd book, Sea of Monsters. I'm a good bit of the way through. They are very fast reads for me. The first time I read them super fast. They are not as fast this time because at the same time that I'm reading them, I'm also, I don't want to say annotating because I'm more just like highlighting things that I like. Anytime Percy is sassy or anybody's sassy, it makes me laugh. Anytime there's some kind of Percabeth moment, Percy and Annabeth, who I absolutely love, I highlight those, and then just any other general bits of the book that I really, really enjoy. So that's why I'm only on the 2nd one. It is taking me longer. I did start last year towards the very end of December. So those are the 3 books I'm currently reading. I did just finish this one, so yay. This is the first Fairy Loot book that I got last year, and it's finally done. I think I got it in April or May. One of those 2. One down, at least. Yeah, it's pretty. It's nice. I wasn't a huge fan. I'm gonna be honest. It was fine. It was not for me. I think other people would enjoy this more, but it's not that it was a bad book at all. But yeah, so that's a little sneak peek into what's gonna happen at the end of this month. Is I started with 42. You know, I'm already down to 41. Let's see if I can continue this downward chipping away instead of rising back up. So I hope you enjoyed hearing about all of my different goals. Let me know if you have any book goals for this year and leave a comment down below, and thank you so much for watching.